y'all, welcome back to Build, Race, and Repair. Today we're just continuing on with the project we left off with the 2010 Dodge Ram 3500. We're going to do the EGR today. We're going to take it off, we're going to clean it. We're going to do a breakdown of the tools and everything that we need to use on this. Right now we're just going to use a 10 millimeter for the 4 bolts that hold this down to the elbow. We're going to use 11 millimeter for the V-band clamp here that's holding on the crossover tube, and then we're going to have a Phillips screwdriver to remove this. I think it's just a solenoid right here on the end of this thing. Once we get it off, then we'll take it out and look at the inner components. We have to remove one of the it's like a slider valve inside there. We're going to remove that and put some EGR cleaner fluid we got from Mopar, and we'll be on our way. Again, disclaimer on this, before you start any job, again, make sure you have your battery cables. We got them disconnected already. And just make sure you take all the appropriate safety precautions. Before we did this, in all fairness, we broke these bolts loose before we started, just so it'd be a little bit easier to make this video a little more simple and quick. We were trying to use this this little impact here, and it just didn't have enough to break these bolts loose. So we broke them loose and got that ready to go. Just did it by hand. Again, this is just a 1/4 inch ratchet with a 10 millimeter for this bolt. We're going to go ahead and first thing we're going to do, we're going to remove the clips here for the sensors. Push down. Thank you. Anyway, we got the first clip we're just going to pull off here, and then the second one, they come off pretty easy. This right here, as he helped me out with, this one you push down, it kind of unlocks it, and you're just pushing back on the back part here, and it pulls right off. This one you're just pushing on the back and pulling off. It took a little bit of wiggling. Again, I took this off to make sure it was going to come off nice and easy, but just push down, a little bit of wiggling, it comes right off. So once we have that free, we're going to get the V-band clamp here, get that removed. Again, 11 millimeter for this, deep well. This one we did not break off prior, so good thing it worked. First time go.
And this is just a little nut driver. This is not a big impact tool or anything. It's just a little nut driver. That way we're making sure that we're not going to strip anything out. We do have the bigger impacts, but no need in jobs like this. Here, the back side of it's spinning. There you go.
You got it stopped back there? Thanks.
Yep. The back side of this T-bolt will push out and just start to spin. If you just kind of press it into place, it will hold itself still as it gets off.
All right, this V-band clamp, it totally removed the bolt down here once we got it loose. The back portion had come off pretty easy. We just got a screwdriver in here, and just lightly, you're just going to push on it and pry the sections that are stuck on, pop it loose, and then you can take the V-band clamp off. There we go. All right, so this probably won't come off right here. Once we pull this off, it'll all come off. I can't really flex this this pipe back. Remove our 4 bolts, and then we'll see it should lift right off. We'll see if this will actually come off relatively easy. If not, we're going to have to do kind of the same thing. Just make sure you don't pry on this this plastic housing right here. We got my hand up underneath the cast iron portion of it, and literally it popped open fairly easy there.
Yeah, see how much of that valve is stopped up?
Yep, you can see this is 120,000 miles. That's what it looks like inside this EGR valve. We're going to get a little bit deeper into this as well. We're going to take this cover off and get in there. We're going to fill it up with some EGR cleaning fluid. And unfortunately, it's going to take, it says 2 to 3 hours to kind of let this stuff sit in here. So once we do that, we'll have to cut back once we get that done. And it's really, we're going to reverse the process putting this back on. It's fairly straightforward and simple.
But thankfully for you guys, it will only be a couple of seconds.
That's right. All right. You are. All right, we got the EGR valve off now. As we said already, you can see it's kind of gunked up inside there. This little shuttle valve that moves back and forth when the solenoid's activated. So we're going to take the solenoid off so we can access the valve inside here. And you'll see once we get in there, it's kind of like basically a valve in the head. It's got a keeper. You just depress it, remove the keepers. We're going to pull the top of that valve off, and then we can pour the fluid in here and get it all filled up and kind of move it back and forth a little bit, and then we're going to have to let it sit for 2 or 3 hours. So again, in all fairness, I went through this and kind of looked to see how hard it was going to be, and the first 2 screws came out real easy. We did use some penetrating fluid on it, so these top 2, I think I might have turned it around, but the first 2 came out real easy, and the other 2 that were on the bottom were just really stuck. Penetrating fluid overnight, tried it again, and basically it was just stripping the head out. We came back with the easy out, and we tried to get it out that way, and it didn't do anything. It just kind of wallowed the head out a little bit. So we wound up with a Dremel tool, just making a cross, just cutting a slot in it, and using just a regular screwdriver on it, and it broke free. So that having been said, you know, you can anticipate maybe having some issues, maybe not. Hopefully,
I'll show them the head.
You got it right there. You kind of see the head right there where we had to take a Dremel and just kind of notch it, so we get just a standard screwdriver in there, a little bit deeper, so we could get it off. So hopefully you don't have this issue, but if you do, I would recommend just doing some penetrating fluid. Let it sit overnight and try it. So maybe you can do it without having to go through all the same issues that we went through.
I hate that they actually used a screwdriver head on this instead of a actual nut. They could have put a hexagon shaped bolt down into it and be able to use
Yeah, you would think that would make it a lot.
Like a 5/16 head bolt or something like that.
Make it a lot easier, wouldn't it? But we all know that they don't necessarily engineer vehicles for people to work on them. But it is what it is. We're not complaining. We'll just get this done and move on to the next step here. All right, get all the bolts out. We're going to take this solenoid valve off right here. You probably hit this little spring with some cleaning fluid or some cleaner or something to clean that up. The big deal is we're going to take this, like I said, it's just kind of like a valve. We're going to depress this down, and we're going to take, it's just basically these little keepers right here. We're going to take that out. So before we do that, we're going to come over here to keep this valve from moving too much. We're going to put a rag in here, and hopefully I'll keep that valve from moving down, and we'll be able to just depress this and pull this out. I recommend, there we go. Recommend using a magnet. Now I'm cheating because I got 3 hands right now. I got the camera operator here. He's going to help me out. We're going to depress this and use a magnet to get down in there and just suck both of them out. So it really comes out too easy. With the rag, you should be able to push it down and pop both of those out as well. But anyway, once you pop them out, make sure we don't lose these things. Also, be careful you don't wind up shooting them across the shop or wherever you're working. Definitely could happen. So I'm going to pull this out, spring. Now you can look down inside there. And so basically all we're going to do is we're going to fill these up and try to clean this stuff out. And so all it does is this valve just moves back and forth when it gets the signal. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's just moving back and forth. That's what's letting the exhaust gas get recirculated there. So we're going to fill this up. We're going to work this back and forth a little bit. We're going to let it sit. think they recommend, I think it's 2 to 3 hours to let this stuff sit and soak. We'll do that, and then it'll be all nice and clean, and we'll do the install. It's just gonna be the reverse of what we just did, and we'll go step by step on that, especially getting these keepers back in. All right, here's the EGR is off the car. I kind of cleaned it up a little bit just using a wire wheel, and you can use some, I don't know, you can use like a Scotch-Brite pad, or you can use a, I don't know, you can use some sandpaper on it just to kind of clean up these mating surfaces here a little bit.
A really high grit so that it doesn't scorch it. You don't want to scratch those up too much, but
yeah, I used like a 120 or something. It wasn't nothing crazy.
I love the wire wheels too.
Yeah. So this is the stuff we use. It's Mopar EGR system cleaner. So, you know, I cleaned all this up and basically just kind of laid it outside up against a wall and poured this in here. And recommendations I heard was 2 to 3 hours.
That chemical, looking at how well it did on the carbon buildup inside of here, I think that I can think of a few more really good areas where it'd be good to use that same type of chemical to clean things up. I bet you anything, the top of the pistons, the cylinders and everything else, combustion chamber type stuff, when you have the motor apart, I bet that stuff would work wonders on everything, considering how well it cleaned off inside here, which the cleaning inside was not done with a wire brush or anything. That's just wiping it on out once the stuff was poured out. The stuff that he wire brushed was actually just the surface area here for the gasket mating area. But the insides there, with how clean it is, that was all chemical. That impresses me.
And basically that was 2 to 3 hours, and taking, pouring it out, rinsing it out really good with some water. And I actually did it twice to really let it clean out, because it still had some carbon buildup in there. So I did it 2 times, and this is the result. So like you said, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty clean for what we needed to do. So anyway, just wanted to kind of show you this, what we used to clean it with, and kind of where we're at. We still have to put the valve back in, which we're going to do in just a minute. And right now we're just going to work on the elbow for the intake, and we're going to clean that surface up as well.
All right, so as you can see, he's already put some paper towels down in the holes to make sure that as he's wire brushing these surfaces, that it's not going to put anything down into the actual intake. It's going to get sucked into the motor.
Right.
And then when you're done with it, make sure as you go to pull that back out, my recommendation is to use either a vacuum cleaner or compressed air to blow it off before you remove the towels, or the same stuff could fall right back in as you're pulling it out.
All right, and so before we took this video, I just removed these are actually brand new gaskets here, but you know, they were just on there like so, and I just used you use a screwdriver. I just used a chisel just so I could get up underneath it and just kind of pry them up, and they came off real easy. But just whatever it takes to get them off, you know, razor blade, chisel, whatever.
Yep. If you do use a chisel or anything like that, just make sure that even if it's stubborn, don't get mad at it and hit it with a big hammer or anything. You are working against aluminum, so you just don't want to put little divots or scratches into that aluminum that might affect it on sealing. But as long as you're not going all full ham on it, you should be fine.
Yeah, you definitely want to gouge it or anything. So again, I'm just gonna use this wire wheel and try not to tear this paper up. It's just shop towels here, but just to try to get these cleaned up a little bit here.
As you can see, he's doing it fairly low speed, so it's not going to get out of control and throw stuff like crazy all over the engine bay.
Yeah, it'd be nice if I get that paper out of the way a little bit, but that's about as best as I can get it right now.
Get you a better angle here. I might be able to pull that side back, or actually, if I had a screwdriver, I could help you out. Here we go. I got you. Let's do it this way.
There we go. Okay, let me get this end right here.
All right, where?
Okay, that's pretty good for that. We'll clean that off, and I'm gonna do the same thing on this side.
Yeah, she's buttled up a lot, but
Yeah.
you should be able to be good. I'll get actually if you want to be able to rotate it and put the square part.
Yeah, I'm trying to just keep from eating that paper up very much.
If you come from this angle, you put the, I'll divot it down a little further at that angle, right there. There you go. Just want to square it up, turn toward your body toward me.
Yeah, trying not to
There you
get
go.
too close to you here so I don't get in your man space, dude.
Oh yeah, 6 feet. I'm sure we are wearing our protective gear anytime we're off camera, obviously. This area is going to be sped up.
I'm gonna try to get this right here.
This whole zone is going to be sped up, so they're just going to see this happening super quick.
Yeah.
Probably not even going to be able to make out the voices.
Sound like chipmunk.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. You have a vacuum or compressed air? Either one?
Nope, not really.
Have a vacuum cleaner? Like the little battery powered one?
Oh, no, man, I got a big shop vac. I was just gonna wipe it down real good and pull it out.
There's a bunch of little aluminum fitting or aluminum chunks there. I would probably. Tilt each side in. There you go. There you go. Yummy. Hello.
I'm gonna put the, gotta put it back together now. Can we do that real quick?
Yep. All right, now we're gonna reassemble the EGR.
All right, we're gonna put the valve back up there in the top. And right now what we're gonna do is just kind of move this, see this little shuttle or slider valve. We're gonna move it all the way up to the top. I'm gonna shove a rag back inside here, keep it from coming back down. And again, I'm gonna cheat because I can. I got my my buddy here, and he's gonna help me out with this thing. So, spring goes in, little cup on the top of it here. Basically, you gotta depress it down and then put the keepers in there. So we're gonna try to do that. Let's see if you can do it while. Alright, there's one side kinda. I'm gonna try to keep this from shooting across the driveway. Almost.
This thing's magnetic and it keeps screwing with it every time I try to.
Hold on.
Might be better if I help push down with this thing and you.
Yeah, so I think really this is something that you got to kind of have a little bit of help with to get it on there. Maybe with some practice you could do it by yourself. I don't know, man. I would get somebody else to kind of come over and help. But there it is. It's back on. Working good. The action is so much better than it was when it was all gunked up. So now all we got to do is 4 bolts, bolt it back down. We'll put the solenoid back on it, plug everything back up, and it'll be good to go. I would say as good as new, but it's probably 90% as new, something like that, close to it. All right. gonna throw our, I'm gonna put that on at the end, I think, instead of putting it on first, because there's plenty of room to do it. So we'll throw the gaskets down on here. You saw earlier in the video, we cleaned all that up. We sucked everything out of it with the vacuum, so we wouldn't have anything falling down in there. So there's the gaskets on. And we're just gonna throw this on here like so. And see if we can get some. You still have that V-band clamp to put on there. I'm just going to make sure that these go in here just loosely. Then I'll put the V-band clamp on again. I'm going to do that loose as well, so we make sure that everything fits before we start tightening anything back down. Only because I've learned the hard way. You tighten stuff down and then nothing fits right. So. Alright, there's that. Get this clamp back on here.
Hey, I brought 2 more as well. There's a couple more right there if you need them. Mine and... No. Which tool do you need?
I guess I'm going to clamp this down first before I tighten this down all the way.
Is the car on? Dad, is the car on? Because this is connected. Yeah, I can unplug it.
What do you plug it into? For what? From where?
Stop so you can take care of that.
There has to be power going into it.
All right, we got the V-band clamp on, nice secure. Now we're just gonna snug these down.
Those aren't the right size. It was just good enough that it fit on there. It looked like, oh, there you go. I don't think that's it either.
What size is it?
You got 10 mil. That's 11.
What's this one?
7/16.
Where?
I don't know.
I only
It's
had
in
2 up here just a second ago. Oh, it's because we were messing with that stupid four-wheel on here. My eyesight's not so good.